Not as advanced as we had 30 years ago, but as close to as we can get. What if we rebuilt those things? What if we built studios that were giant conch shells that the entire band could play in the shell, and then it comes down to a needle point, perfectly symmetrical, the pi ratio onto disc.
That's what they did. When they built studios, they built some pretty big horns.
Right.
And the band stood in front of these pretty big horns, and because the cutting process required right much power, you know what I mean? And people like Caruso and singers who had really large voices came across well on record because they were powerful. And they could the energy in their voice could get a stronger signal on the could manipulate all the all the mechanical stuff necessary to create.
See, now we could just amplify the bands, get some manly vacuum tube amps, big horns or like horns, but I want the actual room to be.
A big horn.
A big horn. You're standing on the horn, and you look, and it's like there's a cave, and if you follow it around, you pretty much get stuck in it.
Then this sounds like something that you should do.
I just need.
Well, that's how the old studios.
$30 million.
The old studios were built like that. Very very large horns were built to collect a lot of sound and funnel it down to the little mechanical device that was actually cutting the record.
Can I request on your show donations for $30 million so I can do this experiment, or is that against public access?
I think you'll have to request that on your show.
Okay.
If you want to request it on my show, you'll need to request that for me.
Okay. If I was to put little coin buckets at various gas stations and supermarkets, could I tell people on your show
that you had done that?
Where they can put money in to help me raise
or where they can go and
million.
Steal your coin buckets?
Yeah, you'll need to ask Pat that question.
Okay.
Because maybe if you would come to one of the producers' meetings, that might get answered.
Yes.
Or just, but I don't know that today is necessarily they're in like technical help.
Yeah. Do you by any chance personally have? Not necessarily
35
30 million,
cents,
but maybe a couple million I could borrow until we.
No, I am a very, very broke boy.
Okay.
I'm like I don't know. Where do you live? Tell me about your living situation. Do you live in a house?
No.
Do you live outside?
Yes.
Do you live in a tent?
Yes.
Okay. Do you have running water?
Yes.
Okay. Do you have electricity?
No.
Okay. Well, I live in a trailer.
Okay.
I do not have electricity either. Right now, I do have running water.
Yeah, I have a creek behind me.
I don't have hot water, however, which to me is a pain.
Yeah, you can tell by how greasy my hair is.
Same here. We need to figure out some nice solar hot water heater shower situations that we can start getting involved with.
That's true. I should probably raise money for that first and then go after the film studio thing.
Right.
Because that'd probably only be like 10 or 15
I need
bucks.
but you live right far from town, don't you?
Yes, I'm about 26 miles away.
See, it'd be hard for me to even afford the gas to get.
Yeah, it costs $7. So when people ask me favors, like come in and help me do editing, $7 just
you tell them, you know.
Do you charge them?
Yeah,
I am now.
Make them give you gas plus. Absolutely. Wear and tear on the vehicle, all that.
Certainly.
But I assume that I have seen your place on the videotapes. I assume
similar places, but
no, not your place.
No, that was me in New Zealand. But I mean, basically same.
Like the kids playing with the bow and arrows and throwing the rocks in the creek and all. That's not your place.
No, that's out on Parkway.
Okay.
But it's kind of the same feel. I mean, it's all nature. I'm starting to find some really good spots out in nature.
Good tea. Do pour me some more if there's much more to pour. Is there? Do we need to?
I was telling John. About the origins of this needle
You might
here.
want to try another cup of it. It looks
Just
good.
the past week, I had been gone in Virginia because I went there because I was burying my grandmother, unfortunately. But I got to see a rather interesting piece of antiquity, which belonged to the cousin of my mother. And it was purchased in 1920. The original receipt was still with all of it. Victrola wind up 78 record player. And the condition it was in was phenomenal. Absolutely phenomenal, all things considered. And she gave me a couple of these needles. These two are the original needles right here. And they do not make anything even remotely like this anymore, apparently.
Now, what happened with the record player? Did she
That's
keep
what-
it, or did you get that?
Oh, the record player? She's got it. No, this was not my grandmother's. This belonged to my mother's cousin.
Right, okay.
And it's just in her apartment.
Huh.
It was originally belonged to her aunt, and her aunt passed it down to her.
Yeah,
And
and that's a new one.
This is a new one.
I've bought
This
one.
is all apparently you can get these days. Just
Yeah.
a solid piece of nickel, she told me. And this seems phenomenally crude and clumsy in comparison.
Of the old ones,
Yeah.
It's amazing what they were doing in the 1900s.
Oh God, I am such.
I mean, it really is.
I am so utterly
We
fascinated
can't
by the
even make-
early 20th century
We can't
and what
even
they
make
pulled off
vacuum
then.
tubes like they used to make.
Nope.
Can we?
I
Well,
suppose
well,
we
we
could
could.
if the will was
could.
there.
Although, like Western Electric started making tubes again, I think in Atlanta, Georgia, and they're like $700 a pair, the 300Bs or something, the big, huge things. You've never seen that?
Transmitter tubes.
What are the tubes for?
Glass tubes.
What are they building them
For
for?
transmitters.
And we're gonna do the snacks for audio.
Maybe, because I've never seen a power amp with that kind of
Right.
tubage. Huh.
It's probably a
Okay.
transmitter tube.
Okay.
And how much you say? $300? That's not.
Each probably about 300 each. Probably
That's
350.
that's not an unusually large price for a transmitter tube.
Right.
Even for old.
Is that a 300B? I guess V would be broadcast, wouldn't it?
Very likely.
Yeah. Huh. Crazy. Yeah.
When I come across things like that, though, that are pieces of what in the modern technological age would be considered ancient, but still work amazingly well, it's beautiful. It's absolutely beautiful. And she still has a pretty sizable collection of old 78s. She played a few for us. Songs I've never heard before and may
Do
not
you
even
remember what
exist.
any of them were?
Bloody hell. I should have taken notes on that, because I'm not good with names.
I went back to analog, and this was probably, I guess by now, 10 years ago. I just bought, I always was looking at the fancy high fidelity record players, and finally one day I just saw one at a garage sale. It wasn't anything special, but it was like $50. It was a Harman Kardon, so I got it. Good enough, yeah.
Turntable.
Turntable, yeah.
Good work.
And,
Good work.
and I
Does it have
put-
78 on it?
I don't remember.
Okay. Do you
It's,
still have
it's,
it?
it's long since gone.
Oh,
so
okay. Never mind.
I also got an ELAC around the same time. That
Okay.
was nice. But anyway, I put it on, and I totally immediately got the goosebumps on the back of my neck, and got the soul of the music. And I found I didn't have to listen to it loud.
Isn't it amazing?
Yeah, and ever since digital came in, I just kept cranking that volume up more and more and more
And
because
it's just not in there.
because you're trying to get the soul, and the soul's not there. And now it's even worse because they give you the high end and the bass, and they don't even give you the mid. And what they did is that everybody's now used to listening to their computers, which typically have terrible speakers.
Even worse.
So
I know.
people don't
Even
even
worse.
know how bad digital really sounds right now, and all these recordings to computers because they don't have anything to reference it on. I have a feeling in about 10 years, we're going to look back at the 2000s, between the late 90s to the early teens and just go, oh my God, there's that terrible sound of early computer digital recordings. Kind of like when you listen to 80s music and
Okay,
you
well,
know...
let me tell you what happened
Okay.
to me personally, and this is really has a whole lot to do with destroying my whole career as an audio engineer and everything. It was either 1979 or 1980.
Right.
When I read it in one of the trade publications that they'd had this big meeting. And I know that the president of Sony was there and the president of Philips was there. And the purpose of the meeting, and one of the other big ones, maybe RCA or something. But one of the primary thing they were about was that they were going to settle on what format digital music would be recorded on, what CDs would be, what would be the format for a CD.
Uh-huh.
And I was excited about. We all knew that the digital recordings were coming out, and we had been given great promises about CDs,
Right.
And I was really looking forward to it and all. And then I read the article, and in the article it said that they had chosen a 16-bit word and a 44.1K sampling rate.
Mm-hmm.
And as soon as I read that, I was horrified, and even for 1979, that was a horrible format to record on. The sampling rate. The only thing I can tell you to do is if you make a grid that would represent a 16-bit word at a 44K sampling rate as maybe a clear overlay with some lines on it, and lay it down on top of a realistic sound wave of some sort, and then connect the dots.
Right. That's what I tell people. Digital audio is almost like a newspaper photograph. When you zoom in, it's just dots.
Right, and so if you connect the dots, you see how far from reality the thing really is, and in the higher frequencies it becomes like even further from far from reality.
And early digital, and maybe even still now, but early digital. A friend of mine was into classical music, and he sold all his records to buy digital, and then he was heartbroken. And he said a lot of his songs even don't have all the notes because they're playing faster than 16.
At the 44.1K sampling rate, I knew instantly. Okay, see, because I grew up, my father was a recording engineer, and I grew up with this around me all the time, and I had learned as an early teenager that a professional recording tape recorder would have a bias erase frequency of at least 80 to 100K. See what I mean? Or more.
Right.
But at least 80 in the 80 to 100K range. Well, what degradation that represents in the waveform equates to the sampling rate. This would be very similar degradation. So I knew instantly that the sampling rate was half what it should be in the lowest terms.
Right.
You see what I mean? So I saw, and I realized what they had done. There is math that you can do, like the math guys, the computer guys, the math guys do a math that says, oh, this will work. Right. And a certain amount of experimentation on a low level for psychoacoustics will tell you that most untrained ears won't hear the difference, at least on first listening.
Right.
You see what I'm saying?
Right.
And
if there's road noise and people talking in the background.
Exactly. Yeah. And that this so this was adopted. They chose like the lowest common denominator, so that any country, anybody who had any technology at all could produce players for these things.
Huh.
You know what I mean? Okay. Now that was in 1979 or 80. Let's just say that was 1980.
Right.
Okay. Now today, when you go to the store and you buy a CD, it's still a 44.1K sampling rate. It's still a 16-bit word.
Huh. All right.
Just like it was in 1980. Now, how much improvement has been made in digital everything since 1980.
Right.
How much more, how much larger, how many more bits can we process in every manner
Because what do we
and
record
store?
at? 24-bit and 96K? Is that what?
That's becoming more and more common. But considering the leaps that have been made in technology since 1980, particularly in the digital realm,
Right.
there is absolutely no excuse that every piece of audio. I mean, the standard right now should be 24-bit 192K without question. I mean, it should. I mean, that is low, but that would be decent audio. We are still deprived of decent audio. We still go to the store. We pay good money for a CD. And we get it on a format that was
I got complaints.
inadequate in
John-
1990.
Jonathan?
Come back. I'll stop and let you
So
talk.
one of the members came in and stole a prop of ours. It was a duck. We didn't see them. They had a bag over their head. Did you see anybody that
Had a bag over their head.
Did you see? I just,
Most likely the chicken was kidnapped for, its obnoxious behavior. You may get a ransom note, I don't know.
How
You
would
may
you-
just never see it again.
How would you know this information?
Well, it's my
Jonathan?
job as the operations manager to know everything that's going on.
Oh, okay. So somebody that was plotting this kidnapping discussed it with you. So you had prior knowledge
They would have had to make a reservation, yeah.
to steal the bird.
A week in advance.
So
right?
you have a paper trail of this kidnapping,
Yes.
and you're willing to testify.
I think we need more tea. We need more water. We need more
Yep.
everything. Will you go get more water? Will you go get more water? Did you have enough?
I will,
do you have a
but I
message
have,
for
I
us?
have a question for you.
Okay.
I was wondering if you wanted to take part in a mad scientist experiment.
Oh, okay.
We're trying to see.
Yeah, I just don't want you to like take all of them.
It's a secret mad scientist
It is a
experiment.
secret.
Okay.
We're trying to see if it is possible to get what is going in the Studio A, because they're doing the anti-show tonight, to the reception monitor
Yeah.
in the lobby.
Yeah.
And we're trying to figure out how to do that,
Yeah.
So you can watch.
so I can see what's going on.
What is going into Studio A? Yeah, you can do that. You don't know how to do that?
I'm trying to figure it out right now. I can't find a Studio A out.
And
I know, but you know you've got an analog input
And
into
what
it.
would you like to
Right.
tell us about what they're planning on putting on the NT show this evening?
I have no idea. I've been waiting for the producer to show up, and instead of asking, I'll just watch and find out.
Okay. Is this in response to what you heard about who's on the NT show last week, and has that aired yet?
Tell us what you heard about the anti-show last week.
I heard they need water on the Mad Scientist Tea Party. That's what I heard.
On the anti-show. Wow, this show has been.
What did you hear about the anti-show? The anti-show on last week. What did they do last week on the anti-show?
Well, they weren't here last week, so. I
Huh?
don't
They
know.
weren't here?
Well, I think you're referring to 2 weeks ago, because last week was the feral chihuahuas.
Correct.
I remember, because
No, that was on the anti-show.
No.
Oh.
The feral chihuahuas
All right, well,
were
what
doing
did
their
you
own
hear about
show
the anti-show?
last Friday.
Okay, what did
See
you
that.
hear about the anti-show? Here, go get the water.
So if you want to, I'll get the water if you want to help me.
Well,
If
I
you're not
might.
gonna help me, I'm not getting the water.
Well, I might help
I
you.
might. This might.
Wait a
get
minute.
kidnapped
Hold
too.
on.
You
What
s-
about
you
getting
still
the
got
duck?
my bird.
Yeah. What about
You know,
getting the bird?
you're working for negative points, so I don't think you really have any bargaining power at this
Want
point.
tea? I think I do have some bargaining. I've got all the power right here in my hand.
Oh, gosh.
Fill it with hot water from the cooler.
Does that work?
Yeah.
So I heard, mind you, this was third-hand news.
All right. Somebody
I
showed
heard-
their butt again. No, what? Something like that.
No,
Okay, what?
breasts.
Breasts. I was gonna say full frontal nudity. I was gonna say prefrontal nudity.
Yes. And
And Jonathan doesn't want to. So in case the breasts
well, yeah.
get edited out, he
they were
doesn't. Want,
apparently
he
they were
doesn't-
nice ones too.
He doesn't
so.
want to miss them in case they get edited out and
Yes.
don't air. He wants to see
In
it.
fact, what the hell? Let me say. I'm gonna go see. I'll be right back.
All right. They never show breasts when I'm doing the
They never do
show.
it. They don't do. No.
Right.
No. You.
How did your show that you were doing sound on, where we just got together and practiced and, and
Finally,
stuff? That finally just
it's-
they gave up, didn't they?
Well, I think they completed the series.
Okay.
Man, that was tough. That's why I don't want to do audio for somebody anymore. Because me as a producer, I think of audio first, and I look at limitations as almost like they reveal the path I'm going to take by knowing, okay, I'm not going there, I'm not going here, here's the path, let's go. And when I talk to other producers, they don't think that way. They don't like limitations. Attitude is your audio. Don't.
Oh,
tell
you're
me
supposed to make the magic happen.
Yes, yes, and then the myth of fix it in post, just
Right.
you know, and I have no control over the performers, how good or bad. And this has nothing to do with that show, but I just know that you've got to find.
Let me see the teapot.
This one? You need to find performers that are going to speak relatively at the same volume if you're going to have, if you're not in a controlled environment.
Now go over to the brown box and find a round can in the brown box that when you shake it goes ding, 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 ding. Sounds good.
So can I play that?
Well, here, work with me. Aha! Now let somebody in that door.
Is it locked?
Yes.
Who is it?
Who is it?
Is it an editing station? Oh.
Okay. Oh, you come back with the water.
Yeah. Jonathan was going to go get the keys, but
Okay.
I'm not that patient.
All right. Was it hot water?
Yes, it's hot.
Good work.
I
Was it too much, or do you know? You don't know. Do you?
I don't know.
Okay. Here we
So
go. Here we go. Work
anything that goes terribly
with
wrong,
me
you have to
here.
blame Jonathan.
Work with me here. I'm inviting you to be part of this
I'm sorry.
situation. I'll hold this. You do that. See?
Can I put a little of this in my cheek and gum?
No.
What were we talking about just? Oh yeah, we're talking about sound for producers.
I was going to tell you something about sound. I was going
Oh,
to tell you how
yeah.
to do a live show.
I know I do. Okay, you want this?
If you like. We don't need that, actually.
You want this?
We need that. Yeah.
Isn't this what it looks like after it's been in there?
That's right. It started out with like just one of those. Now we're going to have
Great.
2 of those in there.
Wow. We're really splurging.
Yeah, I know. Well, I honestly mean to get this to use when you come. And what I wind up doing is I like it so good that I wind up making it up, and then at the end of the week you show up, but I've used up all of this kind of tea, So
I have.
this stuff is good,
taste.
isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
Okay.
Really
Are you going to roll that up?
Yeah. Is that right?
Okay. Yeah. Okay. All right. Well,
Okay, so how do you run sound?
I was going to tell you my secret for not
Okay.
only running a live show,
Uh-huh.
but also for producing albums and stuff. I don't know if you know, but in some circles, I have an incredible reputation for the ability to do these things. People from distant places contact me and ask me to, mix their album and
Right.
things
Huh.
like that. And I have my secret weapon knowledge of how to make it happen.
And you can
And
just
it's
pretty much
so-
reveal this to me here in
Yeah,
this setting.
it is so simple.
Okay.
It is so simple.
If you want a good guitar sound, get a good guitar.
Right. If you want a good guitar sound, get a good guitar. Get a good guitarist. If you want a
Right.
good drum sound, get some good drums and
And
good
a good
drummer.
drummer,
All that.
okay.
Yeah.
What
All
about
this
if
is
that's
true.
not an option?
All this is true. Okay. But no, I haven't gotten to the secret. The big secret is this, and maybe I have already told you this.
Okay.
But when I sit down to the mixer, for one thing, I sound check bands very quickly.
Okay.
I'm like, get a sound, all right, that's a good level. Next, okay, guitar, okay, bass, okay,
Okay.
10-minute sound check is good to go. I don't care if you're the Grateful Dead. So then I listen to all the channels and when they're playing the first song, and some people just cannot sing and they're murdering it. And some people cannot play, and some people are good, and stuff like that. And I listen to it, and if something sounds good, I turn it up. And if something sounds bad, I turn it down.
And it doesn't matter if it's the drums that sound good and the singer that sounds bad.
I don't care. If it
Brilliant!
and at the end of the thing, whatever comes out sounds good.
Wow. And it may sound different than what they anticipated.
Right. If it sounds good, turn it up. If
Right.
it sounds bad,
Like, wow,
turn
this
it
is some kind
down.
of wild drum and bass kind of new rock and roll thing. Wow.
Hopefully,
Uh-huh.
the singer will sound good.
Yeah.
But if the singer does not sound good, for God's sake, turn them down.
Yes.
Yes. Okay,
Wow.
there it is now.
That's
Did you
true.
not know that one?
I
You really never thought of
just
it?
sat there and cringed.
No, no.
It's like,
See, now I'm-
because, I would mix it like it was any band and,
No. If they sound bad, turn them down.
down.
If they sound good, turn them. So if one guy is sitting over there and he's just plucking on two strings of a guitar, bling, and bending them a little bit, bling, 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 but he's just got the tone, and maybe he's just got the feel in his finger, and he's making two notes, but they've got all the soul in the world. Let him be the loudest thing on the record.
Right, absolutely.
And there it is. That's what I do. And I don't make a secret of it. I tell people.
Yeah.
There you go.
And then when people say, why can't I hear my vocals? You say, because your vocals?
You can't sing.
I imagine that this has probably led to some hurt feelings along the way.
You really with some close friends. Right. As a matter of fact, Isaac, my friend Isaac,
Isaac Hayes. Okay.
Isaac Johnson one time asked me. He said, I'm getting ready to add a new member to the. And I'd mentioned to him several times that maybe his singing wasn't all that it might be, and he asked me one time, what. He says, I'm getting ready to add a new member to my band. He said, what would you suggest, that I could do that would make, the best for the band? Well, I often tell people, well, if you're going to add a member to a band, you might think about getting a multi-instrumentalist.
Uh-huh.
I often recommend a keyboard player.
Yep, that keyboard they get the
but I
cheater,
almost always
Or-
recommend that if you get a member you're going to add a member to the band, get someone who can add vocals to the band.
Right.
If they can play an instrument, that's great. But if they can also sing,
Right.
that's good. So when he said,
I would just like to interject at this moment. Sometimes a beautiful woman can also add a
that's
lot.
true. That's true. But anyway, he said, I'm going to add some, a member to the band. What would you suggest? And just right off the cuff, trying to give him my best advice, I said, get someone who can sing. Well, he took that, because he's the lead singer, right, and writer. He took that I was saying he couldn't sing, which I was not making any comment on his singing. It wasn't even crossing my mind. I was trying to answer his question honestly, and tell him, my advice is to get someone who could sing. My next advice might have been see to it that they're a keyboard player and or multi-instrumentalist.
Right, absolutely. And then when he got offended, you realized, well, actually, I kind of did want to say that. So I'm not gonna take that
right,
out.
right. After,
What is this?
Well, read it, and it's what it says.
Who's this to?
That is not at all shocking, either.
Oh, is this to the whole Asheville?
This was a study that was done,
Uh-huh.
and this is whistling, so it must be ready to be poured. Aren't you glad we're having another pot of this same kind of tea? Oh, I'm spilling. Very nice. Oh. Now, that's pretty extravagant for us to